This week's parsha, Parshas Nasso, tells about the Nazir, the person who has sworn off wine and various other physical amenities in order to become closer to God. Interestingly enough, the Nazir, upon finishing his service, has to bring three different karbanos: a karban chatas, a karban ola, and a karban shlamim. A sacrifice that is a sin offering, a sacrifice that brings peace between man and God, and a sacrifice that goes totally to God. Why is it that the Nazir has to bring these three types of karbanos? The Gemara in Tanis, of course, immediately jumps on the fact that the Nazir has to bring a karban chatas, a sin offering. What is it that the Nazir has done incorrectly? What is it that the Nazir has done wrong through this process? The Gemara suggests then that this is because the Nazir has accepted upon him or herself undue asceticism. He or she has denied that which God has provided and therefore is worthy of bringing a sin offering. However, interestingly enough, the Medrash in Bamidbar Rabbah gives us a different answer. It says as follows: Lama Nazir Tahar maybe Shlosha Mine Carbon. Why is it that the Nazir who has Tahar, a Nazir who has successfully completed his or her obligation without becoming Tameh, why is it that they have to bring three different types of Karbanos? So the Medrash tells us each one is to be matir, is to allow three different things that were prohibited during the Nazirite service. What are these three things? The was staying away from any sort of wine or things that come from grapes, shaving or getting a haircut, and tuma, ritual impurity. The chatas was brought not as perhaps we might think in order to be a punishment from staying away from wine, as Gemara and Tanya suggests, but rather it's in order to permit becoming ritually impure. The ola lahatir hadiklachas, it's the carbon ola, the burnt offering that allows the nazir to shave. V'ashlamim lahatir hayosim and gefen, and it's in fact the carbon shlamim, the peace offering, for which both the individual and Hashem has a peace that permits the drinking of wine and eating of other grape products. Why is it that the shlamim is the appropriate korban to allow the to once again allow wine and other grape products? So perhaps one can suggest that the Nazir, understandably, perhaps because he or she has gone through a traumatic experience and feels the need to become closer to God and further away from the world, so our goal here is not to punish the Nazir for trying to take on this asceticism, though that is not an ultimate goal of Judaism. Rather, the goal is to teach the Nazir, that every the physical thing that God created has its place. Wine also has its place. Grapes also have their place. And what better way to demonstrate that than by bringing a karban in which both God and man eat from, right? So in carbon shlamim, one could say this is a banquet, this is a demonstration of God forbid, even gluttony. You're eating so much meat in such a short time period. You have so many people over to do this. The answer is no. All of this has its place in God's realm. And by having this banquet, by having a carbon shlamim, so we demonstrate the realization that everything comes from Him, even our physical desires. The chatas instead is not to allow, as it were, great products. Rather, the chatas is over tuma, the prohibition that the person has undergone, keeping him from becoming tummy, becoming from ritually impure. In fact, such prohibition has also kept the person away from funerals and from hospitals and from being able to fill being adam lachaviro, being able to fulfill mitzvos that bring comfort to others, that being able to visit the sick, being able to comfort those who have lost relatives. That's what the Nazir has to bring kartas for. That's what the Nazir has to bring a sin offering for. And why is it then that the carbon oil is for cutting hair? So again, in Bamidbar Rabbah, the Medrash tells us the reason why the Nazir doesn't cut his hair is that the hair should grow long. The person should not look as handsome or as beautiful as they once did, and in this way remove from themselves the Yitzhar. It's the hair that is what is enticing in this midrashic interpretation. And by bringing carbon ola, by demonstrating that no, hair also can be set for Hakadosh Baruch Hu, to be given also, completely and totally over to Hashem, and therefore the need for a carbon ola. Interestingly enough, despite the Medrash, the Torah tells us explicitly that the hair is actually burnt under the korban shlamim. It's not burnt with the korban oil. It's burnt with the korban shlamim, the hair that the Nazir cuts off upon the end of his service. And again, this demonstrates that it's true that beauty even is in service of Hashem, but it could also be in service of man. It could also be used properly between man and fellow man in order to bring positive things about on this world. Good Shabbos.